I wanted to write only one book because I thought if the book is really okay, one book is enough. But after the publishing in '85, saw again the pages, the printed pages, and I saw this is not the book which I wanted to write. So I have unfortunately write a new one. And so I wrote some short stories. It was a year, I don't know which year was it, when after a question, what is my occupation? I had to say I'm a writer, but I'm not a shameful person. The time when I wrote the Saturn Tango, I chose a life which was not my own. I went to the lowest side of the social system, of the social classes, to the most poor, the poorest people, to live between them. And I satisfied actually this position. From down, that was not possible to think that I will be in the future, right? And this a little bit asocial status you can taste in smell from this book, Saturn Tango. This is not a book with a straight line about a story of between human beings. Rather a picture about the status of the human beings, condition humaine. That was my position before the writing, and absolutely different than the communist Hungary allowed not to publish, but only to write or to think, something like that. And that's why it was a big surprise for me too, when the publishing house in Magvető, 1985, that was a communist Hungary, said, okay, we will publish with pleasure this book. Only the film, the movie, the adaptation was forbidden. In the tradition of the Hungarian literature was absolute the opposite. The true Hungarian literary sentence is short. And that's why when some young writers, began to use an absolute other style of sentences, for example, in my case, and I had to defend me because the spoken language doesn't like very much the dot. If you think of a daily life situation, if I, for example, wanted to convince you, I use almost never a dot. I think so. The short sentences are artificial, especially when somebody wants to say something very big power, you know, and I want to say something with a big power, and I want to convince you. And if somebody has some kind of message, you know, this guy doesn't like very much the short sentences, the artificial cut.
I think in one of the interviews I've read that you've given, you said that only God should use the dot at the end of it all.
Yes. I was a guy who could live actually on a free air and make something like this, to write literary texts. That was a possibility to live in a free air, because the literature and to deal with art, the history of art, to deal with these things gave me freedom. And we didn't live in a freedom, and that was very important. That was a space of freedom. This is, of course, a very simple sentence, but that was the fact. Is not a translator. George Sitash is a poet. When somebody from a London publishing house came to me, I proposed George, but the people told us Mr. George Sitash is not a translator, and it's very difficult to work with him because he is not a professional translator. And I told, okay, in this case, we won't publish in English language because I need only George. And George told me, okay, but I need time, perhaps too long for the Saturn Tango, 10 years long. But the result is fantastic. George Sirtas is really a fantastic translator because he has very spatial, sensitive feeling to the language. That's why sometimes I would say this is a book by George Sirtas, not by me.